Shalom, brothers and sisters. So let's have a look at the latest news with regards to the Middle East situation and related countries tying into that are relevant right now as of the last 24 to 48 hours. Senior Hamas officials in Turkey now, after Qatar said that the leadership is unwelcome. Remember, we covered the fact that Qatar said when they saw Trump elected, they said Hamas has got to go, get out of our country, you're no longer welcome. Hamas has gone to Turkey, their safe space. Earlier in March, Erdogan stated Ankara firmly backs Hamas. The Saudi outlet Arab News reported this. No one can make us qualify Hamas as a terrorist organization, he reportedly said during his speech in Istanbul. Turkey is a country that speaks openly with Hamas leaders and firmly backs them. So we've always known this, and he's always shown himself to be firmly behind the terrorists. He sheltered them before, after October 7. He's had meetings with them and facilitated meetings between them and Russia. And now those leadership leaders are all in Turkey, which is no surprise. It is a cesspool of hatred for Israel from a visceral, demonic, dark place. And those are all clumping together, preparing and waiting for what we in the prophetic community know as the Gog-Magog war that lies ahead. Glad I'm not Erdogan. Hezbollah delivers a response to the ceasefire proposal, and the response was positive. Lebanese LBCI channel reported that Lebanon responded positively to the US proposal for a ceasefire ahead of envoy Amos Hochstein's arrival in the region today. The proposal includes a full Israeli withdrawal from occupied areas, a deployment of 5,000 Lebanese troops in southern Lebanon, and granting exclusive military authority in the area to the Lebanese armed forces. The agreement also states that the LAF will be assisted in controlling the border crossings and preventing weapons smuggling. The draft includes the reactivation of UNIFIL and scans in the area by the LAF to ensure there are no unauthorized arms in the southern part of the country. After a 2-month truce, Lebanon, Israel, and UNIFIL will reconvene to discuss the marking of the land border and 13 other points of conflict. So, yeah, it sounds great, but up until this point, Hezbollah has been so powerful that the Lebanese military forces aren't a threat to them and are actually scared of them. Now the Lebanese forces are going to be in the south, ensuring Hezbollah doesn't do anything. I'm hoping it is because Israel has decimated Hezbollah so badly that is now a true possibility and not just words pie in the sky, and that this will come to pass, because that could be positive news then. Then moving on to our false prophet candidate, Pope Francis. Pope Francis calls for a probe to determine if Israel's actions in Gaza constitute genocide. In the first time that Francis has openly urged for an investigation of genocide allegations over Israel's actions in the Strip. In September, he said Israel's attacks in Gaza and Lebanon are immoral and disproportionate, and that its military has gone beyond the rules of war. According to some experts, what is happening in Gaza has the characteristics of a genocide, the Pope said in excerpts published in the Italian daily La Stampa. We should investigate carefully to determine whether it fits into the technical definition formulated by jurists and international bodies, he added. So, really hectic statements by the Pope against Israel. Right, so let's see if the Vatican gets hit by any storms or anything soon. Now, if you go into the word genocide, and you go Wikipedia it and Google it for yourself, you'll find Raphael Lemkin first coined the term, defined genocide as the destruction of a nation or of an ethnic group by means such as the disintegration of its political and social institutions, its culture, its language, its national feelings, religion, and economic existence. This is not what Israel is doing in those areas. Israel is moving against terrorist organizations who are seeking exactly those things against anyone who is Jewish, a Jew, Judaism, Zionist, or Israel, to wipe them out as an ethnic group, a believing group, a cultural group, an economic group, in every which way, completely. So that is where the genocidal thoughts are. And still, Israel is blamed for genocide. Israel. Continuing on that, it has now come to light that South Africa's Gaza genocide case against Israel is funded by Iran. Da da da! Yeah. Amazing. Cue the band that we saw that one coming. The Institute for the Study of Global Anti-Semitism and Policy, ISGAP, published a report last week Friday, stating that South Africa's genocide case against Israel at the ICJ is funded by Iran. This is not a rumor, it's not a maybe, it's a deep dive and factual representation of facts. The report said, South Africa, Hamas, Iran, and Qatar, the hijacking of the ANC, that's the political group in power here, African National Congress, and the International Court of Justice states that South Africa has developed a strategic relationship with Iran's terrorist proxies, including Hamas and Hezbollah, as well as with leading state sponsors of terrorism in Iran and Qatar. According to the ISGAP report, South Africa's ruling ANC party brought the case against Israel to the ICJ as a diversion from its own domestic challenges. South African, this is a fact. Shortly after announcing the case, the ANC faced near bankruptcy because they steal everything, but unexpectedly secured funds after a series of meetings between ANC ministers and leaders from Iran. We brought the case, they have a few meetings, and boom, all their problems are solved. They meet the leaders from Iran, Qatar, and Hamas, and these funds covered the party's nearly $30 million debt problem at that moment, including more funds. The report highlighted that South Africa functions as a hub for terrorist financing and fundraising, an increasing presence of Islamic terrorist groups such as Hamas and Hezbollah, who use the country for military training and media operations. They've also uncovered links with specific banks in this country that were bankrolling Hamas and Hezbollah proxies and used as a slush fund in the Islamic world to support this anti-Israel situation. So it sounds horrifying because it truly is. But let me just add, there are many believing, sanctified, saved Christians like myself that are South Africans that proudly stand with Israel, support Israel, and pray for Israel. We are not supportive of what our leaders are doing. But now that you know what they're doing, you can understand how we get hit by weird weather events, economic crashes, and chaos randomly all the time. Because we are at the forefront of this spearhead of evil against Israel, and we're in there because our leadership sees it as a way to get money for themselves in their corruption and drive their own interests at the cost of truth and justice and Israel's future. So that about wraps where it's at in the world right now. Anti-Jew, anti-Israel, anti-Judaism sentiment at its highest point that it's ever been. Craziness like you can't imagine. And it's just growing day by day. And what I'll leave you with is Zechariah 12 verse 3, which says the following. And it shall happen in that day that I will make Jerusalem a very heavy stone for all peoples, not some peoples, all peoples. All who would heave it away will surely be cut in pieces, though all nations of the earth are gathered against it. Not some nations of the earth, all nations of the earth are gathered against it. And when he gathers them for judgment, when he comes back at the end of the tribulation week, he gathers all nations to judgment for what they have done. And we are seeing that now, and it has never been seen before, which in itself tells you what times you are living in and how urgent it is that you get on with supporting the ministry and getting involved with the Great Commission, no matter how small a difference you think you might make. That small difference could help somebody avoid what's lying ahead. It's all about Jesus. Always.